You too. How are you?
All right, good evening, everybody. We are going to call this school board meeting to order at 7:01. Can I get a roll call, Linda?
Katie Wilson.
I'm here.
Here.
Jack Sapia.
Yo.
Shauna Manthorn.
Here.
And Sean.
Alyssa, Paul, and Marianne are all excused.
What's that?
Alyssa, Paul, and Marianne are all excused.
Dawn is here.
And Dawn is here.
All right, and Sean O'Neill. Sorry.
All right, everyone stand for the pledge.
Don't worry about it.
Karen, since this is your last school board meeting, will you lead us?
Yes. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All right. Student, staff, and family share. Do we have anything?
Do not tonight.
All right, we got some approval of minutes. 5:21 meeting minutes. Okay, so it's just the public meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the May 21st, 2026 meeting minutes.
A motion by Mark, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Shauna. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes as presented? Seeing that there is none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed and abstain. I'm abstaining, so 5-0-1. Right. Student rep.
Yes. So the high school is now finishing things up. The seniors just had their last normal day yesterday, and they started exams today, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. They will have Wednesday off, and then Thursday and Friday they have graduation practice, and next Saturday is our graduation. Mr. Vax says that it will be done by 11:17. He told me to put that in here.
We'll see.
So yes.
We will both be on stage. We will verify.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do at the next meeting. The even more senior events happening are the breakfasts that are this Saturday, the awards and scholarship night next Thursday, a senior clap out where seniors go back to their elementary schools in their cap and gown and walk through their old hallways with all the other students of the schools around. That will be next Thursday. Under classroom exams will start June 11th, and then the schedule has been sent out by email. For sports, we would like to congratulate the TRHS girls tennis team for making it to the NHIAA Division II state semifinals. The team sadly lost. That's why I was like, wait, this team sadly lost to a very strong Portsmouth team on Monday, June 3rd. All spring high school teams qualified for their state playoffs this year. That get a round of applause. The girls lacrosse team is ranked #1 and will play at home on Thursday. Congratulations to the TRMS girls track team for winning the Tri-County Track Championship. Timberlane hosted this meet. The athletic awards night is also coming up, and we will recognize many senior athletes on Monday, June 8th at 6 p.m. in the high school gym. Baseball beat Dover 8-3 and will play Bishop Girton in the quarterfinals on Saturday. Softball beat Wyndham 9-8 and will host Bedford on Saturday. The Timberland Performing Arts Center. All our ensembles have recently just completed their final concerts and have had many different things, such as an instrument drive where members of part of the community came out and donated any instruments that they didn't want. This is an annual thing. Those instruments then go back out to students that may need them to loan for school years. We had our music awards night as well as our Tri-M Music Honor Society courting, and Drama Honor Society awards also occurred. Tonight and Monday are the instrument trials for students in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade for different instruments as they come up through the program. The high school jazz band actually had a unique opportunity of commissioning a piece. This piece was donated by the Timberland Music Association, and the jazz band got to commission it in dedication to Mr. Clark's 34 years of service as he is retiring this year. The middle school on Monday had Atkinson and Pollard come up for their first look. The 5th graders came up for their first look at the middle school, and it was led by different representatives of those respective towns. So those who lived in Plastow would also help out with that, etc. And it just was nice for students to see people they might actually know from their town. Hey, you live right next to me. And it gives good peer bonding.
Do you remember that? Just a real fast question. Do you remember that when you were?
I do remember that, yes. I remember meeting some close friends and some people I haven't talked to since then. But it is a great experience to get to talk to more people who you're going to see in middle school. You definitely will. The 7th grade students have been doing an outstanding job presenting their MAD, Make a Difference, projects this week. Throughout this project, students identified real-world problems, researched their causes, and developed theoretical action plans to help address them. Topic ranged from smaller community-based things to larger big world problems. Different families engaged, and we are very thankful for all the parents and guardians, family members that took time out of their schedules to come and attend these things. Friday, tomorrow, Danville and Sandown will have the same opportunity as Plastow and Atkinson, and come up and see the high school, or middle school, sorry. Danville said that they had a very successful field day on May 22nd that included the PTA's annual ice cream social. Sandown North, on Friday, May 29th, they had their 5th graders participated in dare ceremony and a barbecue. Thank you to Sergeant Sable and Chef Gordon for partnering with our school to bring the program to the students. Thank you to our 5th grade teachers for supporting the program and carving out times in their week so that Sergeant Sable can facilitate lessons. Sandown North has integrated arts family events on Wednesday, June 3rd. This included a showcase of student artwork, interventions projects, grade 5 projects, grade 3 projects, and a recorder performance, as well as an annual book fair. Finally, I just have a message from myself, and I want to say thank you for such an amazing year. I have had the experience of going through an entire school year with being on the school board, and it's just really cool to see how it works, not being in the school, being here and seeing what's behind the scenes and how much you guys really do support us students. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Do we have any delegates or individuals? All right, can I get the 30 minutes of delegates and individuals moved to the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Motion by Shauna, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All's in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous. All right, and then current business.
So we're gonna stick with the Cameron Show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna invite Barrett Christina, who's the Executive Director of the New Hampshire School Boards Association. And Barrett here is here to speak on Cameron's behalf and present a prestigious award.
Hey, welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Timberlane Regional School Board. Thank you for having me down tonight for what is truly the best part of my job. Again, my name is Barrett Christina, Executive Director. Been down here a couple of times. It's been a while, so thank you again for the invitation to come on down. The New Hampshire School Boards Association is proud to offer a yearly scholarship program recognizing and rewarding graduating students who serve as the student school board representative for their local school board. Factors considered for award winners are academic achievement, active participation in school-sponsored and extracurricular activities, community service activities, and an essay on the topic, the role of the student voice in decision-making. Excuse me. NHSBA is pleased to announce that a winner of the 2026 NHSBA Student Scholarship for the South Central Region is Timberlane Regional High School senior Cameron Stack. Cameron's academic accomplishments are numerous. He has maintained an outstanding grade point average while taking many rigorous courses. Cameron has also received numerous academic awards, including 4 years of honors with distinction, National Honor Society, Science Honor Society, and Drama Honor Society. Excuse me. In addition to being an accomplished student, Cameron has participated in many extracurricular and community-based activities, including Student Council, Boy Scouts, Merrimack Valley Philharmonic Orchestra, and the Timberlane Performing Arts Center. Thank you. Cameron's references describe him as a remarkable young man beyond his years in demeanor and maturity, and who embodies commitment to community service and a well-rounded individual who has deep commitment to education, community, and leadership. It's clear that Cameron is a young man of many accomplishments, is a wonderful representative of Timberlane Regional High School, and has a bright future ahead. Please join me in congratulating Cameron Stack as a recipient of the 2026 New Hampshire School Boards Association Student School Board Member Representative recipient.
Hey, nice job, Tim.
Certificate and a nice little check.
Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll see. Yeah, yeah.
Do you wanna go so you can get your picture made or anything with your parents? What's that? Do you wanna go so you can get your picture made?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hey, he wants to get a picture with you.
Yeah. Wait there.
Here.
Where do you want to do it? Come over here.
Come in front of the board.
In the background.
Huh?
How about in front of the board?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here, do it so we can.
It's his moment, not ours.
I know.
He's in front of us.
I'm all about you.
Move to the side.
I guess not.
Where do you want to be?
I don't know.
That work?
Barrett, I can.
Right, sneak mark in there.
I'll send one to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Cool.
You go.
Oh,
Quick.
thanks, Shauna. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Awesome. Nice job, Kevin. I'll text you. Yeah, sounds good.
Congrats, Cameron.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Next up on the list is just our boringo audit engagement letter.
Yeah, so just to quickly present that, it's just giving authorization for the board chair to sign on with the engagement letter for the audit firm. It is the firm that was here that presented the last audit, and I think the last 3 successive audits.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions about the audit? Again, it's something we do every year.
You need a motion for that?
I do.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign the engagement letter with Plowsek for the Timberlane Regional School District's annual audit.
Thank you. I've got a motion by Sean. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shauna. Any discussion? All's in favor? Opposed and abstained. Unanimous. Cool. All right. Ken, we're gonna get a presentation on our website, is that right? All right, cool.
So just to prep for Ken, if you guys remember, the members of the board just kind of wanted some information in terms of what the new website design looks like, maybe some of the access tools. So Ken has put this together and to talk a little bit about the access points for community members and staff, and also the transparency that it affords the district in terms of its residents. Appreciate it, Ken. Nice tie.
Thank you. Everybody's asked me if I was wearing a tie today. I feel overdressed, I guess. Well, that guy had a suit on, so. So I have a quick 9-slide presentation for you guys, and then we'll have a quick 5-10 minute demonstration of the website.
Yeah,
It's
sounds great.
1996 again.
Sounds great, thank you.
First topic is why a new website? So, and the problems we have with the old one, right? Biggest issue I had with the website, and I heard, and I'm sure you guys heard, was finding things, right? Why do we have problems finding things? Couple of reasons. We had a ton of data, lots and lots of data, thousands and thousands of documents. And I've been on other websites, other school websites in the area, and we're near the top when it comes to how much we put on our website, which is great. We want to have information out there available. But then it dictates that we have that information stored so it's easy to find and whatnot. It was not. Why was it not? We'll get to in a couple of points. But going down the list here, the search was limited on the old website. If you try to search for something, you found usually not the thing you were looking for. Navigation was not very intuitive. That's pretty self-explanatory. Why was it not intuitive? The point below that kind of helps explain that. The pages were cluttered with infographics and links. I call it throw it on the front page syndrome, which is we get an event or a document and like throw it on the front page. And eventually you start getting stuff all over the place and the website changes almost daily or weekly because we have to move things around. So that was an issue. But the biggest issue was that the back-end documents were hosted on something called SharePoint. You've all probably heard that term. It's Microsoft's really crappy application of a document storage system for.
They have lawyers, by the way, just to let you know.
What's that?
Nothing.
I was gonna say you can't find in any topic anywhere 95, 100% of people agree on anything. Everybody hates SharePoint. Nobody likes it unless if you find somebody like SharePoint, they're trying to sell it to you. So we eradicated SharePoint from the back end on the website. We're still using it for the intranet, which is like the internal documents, like the business department, HR. But we're moving this summer to move that as well to the new website for employees to log into and get to those documents as well. And then finally, the community engagement was limited. It was a one-way street, right? There was nowhere for them to intuitively search or ask questions or sign up for any updates or anything like that. So real quick, we talked about this last year. The RFP process went out. We were looking for a solution that not only revamped and modernized the website, but also unified it with our communications platform, which is the email, phone calls, texting system. SharePoint again to get rid of that and replace that on the back end, and as well as the mobile application that installs on your phones. We were looking for somebody that was successful in public education. I mean, as you guys know, that is an all different ball of wax and private industry. It's apples and oranges. So we want somebody that had experience with that. Cost is always a factor. We want the advanced search capability. We want to put in a system that's modern, easy to find things. And then finally, we wanted some sort of community engagement option, so it'd make it more of a two-way street. So we selected Final Site, as you guys know from the RFP last year. Proven track record with public institutions K through 12. It's a single solution replacing those 4 things I went through before, which is really hard to find. That really narrowed down the list for vendors that could do that. One really cool thing we found is that they have an AI chatbot. We'll talk more about that, but I thought that was important. I can't imagine like revamping a website in 2026 and not having some sort of AI capability, because you're just going to want that in the very near term if you don't already have it. Ability to support website forums. We'll talk about that in a second, how that ties into community engagement. And And then this was it's kind of a technical thing, but it was hard to find, was customized permission levels by page or site. Most of our website is publicly accessible, of course, but we have, as you guys know, you have a secure area. You can log in and see certain things that you need to. There's also the intranet I talked about where staff can log into and get to internal documents if they have to. Not a lot of vendors provided that level of granularity with the security. And Final Site was the most affordable solution that could provide all those requirements that we have. So let's talk about the navigation for a second. So what I'm basically saying in this first bullet here is that we're going to stay fairly static with the areas of content within the website. Like I talked about that, we're plopping things all over the place on the old website to make things stand out, move things around. We're not doing that anymore. Being consistent, we're keeping things so that they look the same. You go to the website one day, go to it the next day, those categories are still there with that information. Your school board site, we'll look at it in a minute, but that and the other communities, BudCom, have a very consistent look and feel throughout them. The document types are stored by the content type and then also by school year and date. I'll show that to you in a second. I wanted the AI search available on all web pages. I didn't want to have people to go hunt to find the AI search and then go, ask it questions. It's available on every single page in the lower right-hand corner. You can minimize it if you don't want to see it, but it's always there, and it's also available on other platforms like your phones. So the events within the website are very important. Obviously, people go to the website to find events when things are happening. We wanted to be able to have that district level events, school events, department events, so that anybody could choose which type of calendar and department or school they want to see, and whether or not they want to look at just today's events, the weekly events, or a monthly event, list of events. And then finally, the top menu, we really compacted that and shortened it down, made it more intuitive and less duplication. And I found in the old site there was a couple areas where I was going to the same place, but it was in different areas. So that was kind of confusing. The search, the AI chatbot is huge here. We want to talk about that for a second. So the AI, what it is it's a program, obviously, that's running on the website. You can ask it questions. You can look for documents, web pages. Its brain is the documents themselves that are stored on the website, the web pages and the information within. And it can access all those documents, all web pages in a matter of seconds and get back to you. So that's huge in my mind. That's a game changer. Access to the events that are on the calendar, so that if you're looking for something, when is the next elementary orchestra band concert, it'll tell you, it'll pop it right up and let you know. As well as the staff directory. So if you're looking for a particular role, like who's the math teachers at the high school, they'll spit out a list, or information about a particular person, like contact information if you're looking to reach somebody. I will say the AI, this is a work in progress. There's a disclaimer on the chatbot. If you look at it, it says informational purposes only. Is not I forget the term. It's not like official place to go. That's of course we have to put out there that the AI could be wrong. And I'll give you an example of that and why I'm monitoring and trying to fix things and make them better as we go. Is early on when we rolled this out, somebody was looking for a particular role at the district that no longer exists. So they said, who is this role? Or who is in this role? And it came back with the name of somebody who doesn't work here anymore, with their old contact information. Where did it get that information from? Was an old minutes from a school board meeting back in 2020, let's say. So it says it just did the best it could. It went back, found it. So I monitor that and I go, dude, that's bad. You don't want to be telling people that somebody doesn't work here anymore to contact them. So I have the capability to go and write that same question or very version of it, and then with an answer of, if they're looking for that role, contact this person or contact this role at the district. So it's like an answer that will work for somebody to at least talk to somebody who still works here. Talked about community engagement. So there's a new, if you're not aware, people listening at home, there's a district email sign up form. So you can sign up. It's just a web form. You put your name and email address in, and the district will email you with district news and events. That's been available. We've had maybe, I think 35 people sign up, so that's good news.
Awesome.
I hope more do as we go. We have a community bulletin board. If you weren't aware, we brought that over from the old site. That's just a web page where local businesses or organizations can advertise events and happenings on our bulletin board page. And we also do biweekly emails now about the latest flyers that came in. We send those flyers out to the district, so parents, staff members, and then anybody who signed up for that, the community sign up will get them as well. This isn't 100% operational yet, but we're going to be posting as you put posts on the website. I'll be pushing the social media, so to district and school social media accounts. And then finally, we mentioned the mobile app. There's a new version. It superseded the old version. If you're not aware, it's available on Apple and Android stores. It's free. You can download it. Just search for TRSD or Timberlane, and you'll see the Timberlane app. Provides a good source for finding events, news and announcements, and then quick links are more applicable for parents and students and staff. But community members certainly be a good idea to download it to keep abreast of local, happenings in the district. And then last slide is web accessibility. This is the website being ADA compliant. So not too long ago, a few years ago, this was a recommended practice. Like it's good to be ADA compliant. It is the law now. You have to be ADA compliant, right? As you know, Sean. If you're a public entity, you need to be ADA compliant. So that means that you are supporting people with disabilities or having to read things differently. And I'm going to show you that on the website what that looks like. And then there's also multiple languages supported on the website now. There's dozens and dozens of languages available on that website that we support now as well, which is just a drop-down menu. I'll show you that. And finally, I skipped over it, but just going back for a second, the mobile version of the device, the tablet and mobile version is much better looking than the old site. The old site was not good. So this is format's a lot better. So I'm gonna get into the website real quick. Dean's gonna swap me over to the browser. And then I'm just gonna show you district site and then a real quick stop in at a school site. So I'm just gonna work my way top down here. I'm not gonna stop at everything. This would be fairly quick, but I just wanna show you. So the translate, we talked about all the languages. There's literally languages many of these I've never heard of. If you click any of them, the entire website changes over to the language. Dean, you're right there. You can change it back to English. I can't see up there, so I'm just gonna pick one. So let's do Turkish. Is that what it says?
Yep.
So this is what it looks like. So, all right, put us back to English, Dean, because I can't see up there. That's how easy it is to go to another language. Up here's your social media buttons, so Facebook, X, etc. These are all district accounts. When you're on the school site, it goes to the school accounts. These are portals at the top. So we have them for students, parents, and staff. I'll click on students real quick just to show you one. Pretty simple. It just shows you a bunch of quick links that are applicable to students to be able, what they are interested in getting to. And then there's documents. So these documents are tagged for students, parents are tagged for parents, etc. for staff and community members. A lot of documents are tagged for all. And then there's a search here. You can search for keywords here. So, and then I created this quick links page, which two reasons. One is the obvious reason is it's a place to go where you can find a bunch of links of things that are common to go to. But also this feeds the AI brain we talked about. So all these links now are in AI. So if somebody's looking for I found people looking for links a lot. So I'm like, why don't you just create a page and put it up there and then AI can categorize it. So now AI can refer back to this page and get links from there. So we talked about the headers real quick. We kind of collapsed these and there's less options before, which is good. Kind of pared it down a little bit. We had departments over at schools in the old site. Now schools are just schools. Departments are just departments. I'll get into, I know it's basic, Mark, but
But it's awesome because it was not that way before.
here's where you can sign up. I try to put this front and center for community folks to sign up for emails. Just going down real quick, news and announcements. Again, we talked about the areas of the website staying the same. This is where news and announcements will always be. So if you click on this, it pops out with an announcement. The facilities meeting, by the way, is canceled on 6/9. What I like about the site too is that this will, I set this to expire on 6/10. So that it'll just disappear from the website. Nobody wants to see this if it happened in the past. So we will be expiring these posts as they're not relevant anymore. These are just district events, which include committee events in there as well. So that's because we're on the district site. Now, if I click on the full calendar, you're gonna see all the events in the district that are going on. And I think because it's end of year, there's actually, if you went back to May, this would scroll down for some of these days were very, very long. But this is just a way to look at everything in the district that's going on. Quick links. So we ran some analytics on the old website to figure out where people are going most, and these are the categories we found out. So the way this works is that we just, pop this out. It gives you some quick links to go to places you need to for school board. Or a real common one, of course, is menus. Click on that, and you have your schools, breakfast and lunch menus available. I want to show you the accessibility down here, this little blue guy down here. You click on this, and this is the ADA compliancy we were talking about. So, I was playing around with these. So there's this focus button. What this is it will light up an option. So if I click on this, you see how it lights it up?
Oh, that's cool.
You can make a big cursor. So the cursor got bigger. This is highlights. So if this is a visual impairment or aid, I guess. So if as you click it, you'll see it says links. So all your links are highlighted now. Your buttons are highlighted. Everything's highlighted or nothing. I'm not going to click on all these, but some of them are interesting. There's a contrast one. I'm not sure who this helps, but that's an option.
Low vision.
Infrared vision.
Yeah.
So those two girls are seniors this year.
I found these two helpful. Like if you're reading a policy or a long document on the website, I kind of like having this bar. You can drag it down and read as you go.
I didn't know about that.
Or there's a window here where you can highlight and read. Images. This is see it says students. There's meta tags on most of the pictures. Some of the pictures we kind of have to go through and label that. So if you hover it over, it tells you what's on the tag of the photo. Kind of explains what it is.
Us.
Yeah, right. Let's drop off. All right, let's go back to the most important part of the whole presentation, which is your website, school board. So again, we try to be consistent with look and feel of all the committees. So they all look like this for the most part. On the left-hand side, you have all your members. You click on a name, it brings up an email to send them an email to a member. Most common, I'd say commonly accessed documents are here in the middle. Things like policies and procedures, obviously. Meeting dates, stuff of that nature. Committees and school boards, and everybody has their own calendar now. So you guys, if you go on the right, you'll see your future events up here, our future meetings. You can go into the future, which are loaded up through next year, right there. And then the meat and potatoes of all these committee and board sites are right here down below. So this is it's called an accordion view or setup, which you can see the content type of the documents up top here. Minutes and agendas and package are going to be in 90% of the time. So you just expand out a year, and then you find a date, and boom, there it is. So hopefully it just makes it a lot easier to find things than the old site. And again, this is all being categorized by AI, which is down here. So that's where you would type a question. Here's the disclaimer down below. Oh, I forgot to mention, so the AI, when anybody interacts with the AI and asks it questions or gets response, there's a chance for feedback. So it's like an emoji thing from like a super smiley happy face to like a really red angry face. And it's like, how are you feeling? So there's a way to rate your experience, and then with a comment box, which I'm happy when people fill that out because I'm interested we want to get better at the AI, right? So if you're on there and you have a bad experience, definitely put that down and let me know what you were looking for and why it didn't work for you.
Can't fix it if you don't know about it.
Exactly. That was I want to show you real quick, Atkinson. Just the school site, very similar setup, obviously look and feel. The social medias go to the school in this case. These are all the school accounts. Same portals as the district. This is pared down a little bit more because it's a school-based setup. And then the big thing with the schools, they get the same quick links. The events are for the school, so these are Atkinson Academy events. But down here we have school-related news and announcements. So this is all Atkinson Academy news and announcements. Every school has their own updates and everything. So they've been doing a good job of posting pictures and articles and things. This is where the stuff about the kids. And honestly, I'm looking into, I think I'd like to maybe swap quick links and move this up top. So I'm working with File Site on how we can make that happen. Because I think that'd be a little bit better to have more about the kids at the school level. That's basically it. I have.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
so much better.
Right? I agree. No, listen, I struggled with the site as well when I was older. And most of it's that SharePoint, which was horrendous, of course.
Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Sean.
no, awesome. This is great. Vast improvements, and you started off on the right foot bashing SharePoint because everybody hates
Yeah, I
that.
figured, yeah.
One of the things, and I brought this on up, one of my first meetings here is about trying to streamline our right to knows, and you're the guy that I'd like to actually get your ear on, is that the whole data gathering, I mean, that's not gonna change. We're gonna have to, do right to knows and do that process of it. But it's the logistics of getting it to the people, all this stuff, buying drives and flash drives and doing all that stuff. And my thought is that disk space is cheap, but what I could envision is a, school board tab on there, right to knows. And on that, you would basically have a filing like almost like Explorer or whatever we can come up with. And it has on there sort of a table of contents. These are the dates of a right to know, who requested it, here it is, and here's the link to all the data set for that. So then everybody in the entire community knows who asked for a right to know, and here's the data for it. All transparent. Everybody knows that it's the cheapest form of delivery. That's my spiel.
It's a really good
Cut
idea.
down on, cut down on.
I like the idea of when there is a right to know, having it there, because that would hopefully eliminate duplicate and triplicate requests for the exact same information. I think that's a great idea.
And then it's also too, is like I've heard, complaints on both sides of the fences of, people are just doing it. The community, the court of public opinion, has a lot of variations of that. But if somebody's asking for, let's just say, right to knows that are ridiculous, and they keep on asking that, the community's gonna see all that.
That was going to be my second point. The other potential side of that coin is I know we had a request, hey, for the 3 banks you have, we would like every transaction for the past 4 years. It was literally hundreds of thousands of documents that had to be gone through. I would not want to see it, so that it open it up to people just saying, I want to know the lunch meals for the past 10 years served. I mean,
No, yeah.
but I think when one is filed, having it public, and if the AI search is half of what we hope it will be, I think that will answer a lot of questions and people's
If
concerns.
it gets posted up there, you just gotta turn it as where does the AI agent search? And you just include this new SharePoint right to know directory structure, and it becomes part of that.
Are there any storage issues? Are there any storage issues with this, with the documents like that? Like
No, storage is cheap.
File over time?
It's really cheap. I mean, just think, Google, you could start for $29 a year, you get 200 gigabytes. That I have in my Google Drive.
Yeah,
You wanna
no,
boost it
no.
up to a terabyte, it's like, $99, it's cheap
Yeah.
overall versus the labor cost.
Hold on, we got like way too many conversations going on at once. Sean has the floor, so let's let him.
No, I relinquish.
Yeah, no, I had just like all these side
No,
conversations going on.
totally get it.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. Mark, Shauna, then Mark.
Sorry, I was just thinking out loud as Sean said something. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to having, this is actually a really great way to streamline and have access to information. I guess my question would be, I understand that a right to know is somebody seeking information that's available, but are they the individual person who requests the right to know? Is there any legal ramifications we have for posting their request for a right to know?
It is also public.
Okay.
And this SAU has actually had right to know requests on the right to know request blog. So Justin's pretty much an expert on this as well.
Did you have
Just
something?
asking the
No.
question out loud because I figured it's gonna come to me.
No, it's a good question. You're talking about people's confidentiality and privacy.
No, but I think to Sean's point, it's a good thing. And then also too, it also, someone's thinking of a right to know, then they know they can go to this page and look it up, be like, oh, that's already been done. And there's all the
We
stuff.
can refer directly to that page if we get a request, right?
Right. So yeah, I say, look at legal, and if it's okay, then do it.
We want it, we'll bring back some ideas of what it could potentially look like.
Very good idea. That is a really great idea. Thank you for creating a website that we could do that for.
I hope they can find stuff now.
Shauna, go
And I
ahead.
just had one piece of feedback that I'm getting, and I actually was looking at it myself today. The app version.
Yep.
There is, and I downloaded the new one and all that kind of stuff. So when you download the app and you come to the home page, it's pretty intuitive, very similar to the website. The only feature that's not in here is a search feature right here on the home page of the app. You can't get to the search feature until you click one of the menu or like linkable places. So is that something we can look at?
Sure, I'll look into it, yeah, if it's possible. So you're saying.
Because what
put the
comes up
search
on the app
front
when I
page?
click on home is the calendar, which is great, the district calendar, as I'm scrolling upcoming events and going across. But then the bottom is news, events, directory, and then when you click more, it comes to all of those quick links that you get, but there's still no search bar until you click. It's like 3 more clicks before you can get to the search.
Like, search should be one of the bottom buttons.
Search should be
Yeah,
on that
gotcha.
homepage. That way, that might even help some of
If
your
it's
AI
possible,
bot
yeah, I think that makes perfect sense,
research
yeah.
phase
Should
of
be right
it.
near the front, yeah, I agree.
That explains one angry emoji.
Does anybody else have anything for Ken about this website?
Nice job, Ken.
Thank you, Jen.
Yes, thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Very
Thank you.
helpful.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Next is the notice of New Hampshire School Board Association 2026 call for resolutions.
Yep, so just to kind of walk you guys through as a board, you can submit one or more resolutions to the New Hampshire School Boards Association. This deadline is July 3rd. So the thinking here tonight is if there was a potential for the board to want to move something forward, what I think we would need to do is to get that information from you so we could put it on the June 18th agenda so the board can have a discussion and a vote on whether to move that resolution or resolutions forward. After this meeting, I will again resend you the current set of resolutions so you can see them. It can be a new resolution or it can be a revision of a current resolution. And I'll also follow up and send you the resolutions from the New Hampshire School Administrators Association. Separate organization, but just so you can see where their thinking is right now in that current draft. It is a way that the board can express some governance at more of a state level, and have more of an impact about the thinking here in Timberlane that we think that would be advantageous for other districts across the state to consider.
Anybody have any questions about that? Alright. You said you're gonna send the email out again?
Yep, I'll do that again tomorrow morning for you guys.
Next, I don't think we can do it because the whole board's not here, is the repeal policy, IJM, it's just gonna keep lingering.
Rolling.
Alright, so next up is administrative report.
That's awesome. Could we start with Ginger
Yeah, go for it.
and then Sandy, and I'm happy to close for you.
I will let you cover individual
Excellent,
13
happy to do
tonight.
that.
So in thinking about my board administrator's report tonight, I guess I've kind of been in a pretty reflective place this week. It was the 1st of June last year when I got the opportunity to support the special education department along with the other departments that I've been supporting since I've been here with Timberlane. And I've been thinking a lot about that. So if you'll indulge me for a moment, I want to just talk a little bit about that in terms of kind of thinking about past, present, and future, where we've been where we are and where we're headed. And thinking about this past year, I started to kind of make a list of all the people that fall under this department and how hard each and every one of them works within their sort of smaller sects of their departments to support kids across the district. I started listing them off, and then I realized it's really everyone. Because not only is it our ESOL teachers and our nurses and our social workers and counselors, and I'm going to go through them all. Our special education staff, which includes our physical therapists, our occupational therapists, our speech therapists, our paraprofessionals, our administrative assistants, our BCBAs, our psychologists, our special education teachers, our special education coordinators, our facilitators, our out-of-district coordinator, our child find coordinator, our specialized transportation staff, everybody that kind of helps support all of these students, within those specialized groups, but also we couldn't do this without our administrators, our regular education teachers, right? Everybody is a part of student services. And I don't always talk about all of them all the time, but I do want to acknowledge them tonight because I think the success of our kids would be not what it is if all of them weren't a part of this process. And I just want to make sure that they're acknowledged. I do spend a lot of time talking about our special education department because, we have a lot of resources that go there. It's a topic that we talk about here because of budget. The other positions that we fund maybe don't cost us as much, but it doesn't mean that they're not as valuable and as integral in the process. Our social workers getting people set up with resources. Our nurses are a resource for our kids as well. I mean, I could go on and I won't, but I do just want to take a minute to acknowledge all of them because the department wouldn't be what it is, the district wouldn't be what it is without each and every one of them. That's where my head's at with regard to the past. Present, we're in the middle of dealing with a lot of transitions and working with our kids so that they progress from one school, one developmental level to another. We've got K going to grade 1 at Sandown. We've got 5th grade moving to 6th grade through the middle school. We've got 8th moving to 9th. And to think that that's a simple process, right? I mean, we talk about transitions a lot and how important they are, but the amount of time and dedication that goes into the conversations with the kids, the planning, the preparation, it's important. And I think it's important to acknowledge the work that goes into that. We've been talking a lot about the PAGS process. One of the things that's in my present that I'm thinking about is that we're coming sort of to the end of that audit. I'm still in constant communication with the Department of Education as we continue to work through that process. We had a parent feedback session that was scheduled for last month that unfortunately didn't happen as it was supposed to. There was a technical error in the virtual Zoom link. People couldn't get on to the PAG session. Feedback session. So that has been rescheduled for June 9th from 5:30 to 6:30 for the families that had previously registered. So they're not accepting new registrants. PIC reached out to every family that had registered to give them the link, notify them of the change, what had happened. One of the things I want to acknowledge about that is that when we sat with our PAGS liaison back in January and talked about this really important aspect of the audit, we asked them, what's the most number of families that you've had participate in one of these sessions? And they said the highest participation rate we've had is 25 participants in any one meeting. We had 27, right? Most of the time they're getting 8, 9 families that are showing up to these things. And so I just want to acknowledge the work that went into getting the information out there, inviting families to participate, encouraging them to give us the feedback so that we can just continue to take this information and improve in what we do. And lastly, the future is really thinking about what's next, right? We're already planning for ESY. We're planning and staffing for the fall. We're thinking about service delivery. We're thinking about schedules. We're thinking about needs of students. Like, we're in the moment. We're thinking about the future all at the same time. And it's a lot for this team to do, while they're also trying to serve and work with students on a day-to-day basis. Like I said, we will get our PAGS report sometime, I think, early July. I look forward to coming back to the board in the fall with the information, the results of that. For the future, it's going to give us our roadmap as, you know, the things that we need to be thinking about, the things that we need to improve, the things that we might need to address. And again, that is a special education focus, but all of us will hopefully be working together collectively to, make improvements, continue to work collectively to serve all of these students, because they're all our students, and just improve the experience. So that's where my head's at.
Does anybody have any questions for Ginger?
No, just a comment. I mean, I think that people take for granted that schools just do these things. But really, there's a lot of unselfish, highly motivated, proud professionals who are doing their best to not just keep pace with the daily need, but look down the road and make plans. I think you captured that very well.
Thank you.
All right. So I have two primary updates. One of them, the first is just to inform you of some of the processes that we go through as a district connected to federal funding. So I think you are all aware that we have access annually to several federal grants. The ones that we are eligible for beyond IDEA, which supports largely our special education population. We have access to titles 1A, 2A, and 4A. Each of those grants are connected to statutes and federal requirements. They all serve different purposes. The federal DOE sets different compliance pieces for each of those grants for the state Department of Education. And in turn, the state then sets procedures and processes, things like that, for local districts and LEAs. So some new things that have come down the pike, just to kind of keep us all on the same page, because I think in the next couple of weeks, you may be seeing some of these go out publicly. So something that we have always had to do is to engage in different levels of a needs assessment. So in order to prioritize how we provide funding through these federal programs, we are required by law to identify different data points, to review that data, to establish what are our top needs, and then prioritize them based on the amount of funding that we receive. Something that is different is that now we are required to engage in what's considered a comprehensive needs assessment. And so the Department of Ed has created a process and a form to collect that data in a manner that aligns to all of the different federal programs and requirements. And so the categories of data have been pre-selected by the Department of Ed because they are directly correlated and aligned to different areas where we might decide to prioritize funding based on those requirements. So that process is, the word comprehensive, I think, is an understatement. It's comprehensive. And so we are right now in the process of collecting that data over multiple years in the areas of student achievement. And that ranges, I think we all think about state assessment data, but that ranges beyond that to proficiency levels, growth, attendance, longitudinal growth, graduation and dropout rates, credit accrual reports, early warning indicators, so the way in which we track students who may be at risk with regard to attendance, with regard to behavior referrals, with regard to course failures once we get to the high school. Those are all different data points just for achievement. We're also pulling data connected to access. And so those connect to referral procedures, our equity, the ways in which that we are providing equity to students across our schools with regard to access to highly qualified educators who have different levels of experience and certification. It's looking at professional development programming. Those are 2 of 10 different categories. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but it is a comprehensive process. And so from there, we, once we have our data, we will be bringing together a stakeholder team that includes staff, student, and parent representation to review the data, to identify what needs emerge from all of those categories, and to then determine if those needs are in fact priorities for us. From there, we will develop budgets. That information, once developed, will be posted publicly. The goal is that it will be posted publicly before our next board meeting, which is why I'm informing you of that, in case you have questions, or questions should come to you. And we post it publicly for public comment because, right, we have a group of stakeholders which are representing different constituents from our 4 towns and our district. But of course, they are representatives. So it's an opportunity for members of the public, if they so choose, to review it and to weigh in. Yes, I agree. I would have liked for the group to have considered this. It's a fairly short timeline because all of this has to be finalized really by, I'd say, the 3rd week of June, so that we can then develop our budgets, which are due to the Department of Ed on July 1st. So we are not trying to intentionally rush the process because we don't want the input. It is because we are on a very tight timeline that has been set by the Department of Ed. So that is something that we are involved and engaged in right now. And when you see this information go out on the website to invite individuals to review the priorities that were set by the stakeholder team, that's what that is with reference to, okay? So that is one of my top announcements. The second is I like to highlight, when we have the opportunity to do so, different professional learning experiences that our staff engage in. This time I'm going to talk about our administrative team. So we gathered our building department leaders, both at the district level and school level, together yesterday in different sessions because we still have to manage our schools during the school day. But we engaged in 3-hour PD sessions, really focused on developing our collective understanding through a book study around research behind the connection between the brain and body response systems that impact behavior, so that we can have a better understanding about how different students, different individuals, adults, children, we all respond differently in different situations, and how that impacts the way in which we may respond in different moments. And more importantly, how our response to those behaviors can either facilitate learning through that process, in some cases accelerate the behavior and precipitate future behaviors. But what we're trying to do is to work together to develop systems so that we can push that out to our staff and our teachers and better respond to our students, so that when they have mistakes, which we all make, it becomes a learning experience so that they can learn from that, move forward, and more importantly, engage in their learning in a safe environment where they feel welcomed, honored as individuals, and respected. So that was the start of, wasn't really the start, it was the second session we've had, but that was the goal of that work. So just looping you in on that, and I'll continue to keep you posted about where all that goes. But we're excited to be working on that so that when we roll out the year next fall, we're able to really inform our staff on some very small steps in a very long journey that this will be. But that is it. Thanks.
Anybody have any questions for Sandy? A lot going on.
Could I also just add the consolidated grant, that all of those things are done before we actually write the grant itself. These are all precursors to even be able to apply to access the money. And a lot of that grant pays staff out of that, which drives that timeline to July 1, because we start those payroll cycles very, very soon after that. So
I should have added that we can appeal to extend the date. But if we appeal to extend the date, we cannot access the funding
Until it's.
to be able to pay staff at the start of the year. So our timeline is July 1. So.
Appreciate it, Cindy. All right. 3 follow-ups, I think, from the last meeting. The first was about screen time. I'm going to continue to work with Ken, and my hope is to bring something back to the board on June 18th. I'll work with you guys to get an agenda item there and hopefully write up a little summary so it's in writing for you. Also, there was an inquiry about the fiscal 26 projection and wanting some information about like really 3 things. How did the board align to the voted budget? What were some decisions we made early, like fall, winter, to align to it? And then what are some decisions that we made after the spending freeze in March? Again, I'd like to be able to take some time, put together a presentation, work with you guys, get it on the agenda and bring it back here on the 18th, the same meeting that will present the budget actual report for the last one of this fiscal year. I think that would make sense. And lastly, as a follow-up, this multi-age classroom history, we will still dig into kind of doing some research about how Timberlane had it, and then more importantly, the reason it went away. And we'll bring back that when we find those information as well. So those are follow-ups. Thing to be proud of, we got a recognition from the state of New Hampshire. There's a Bureau of Special Education. They do kind of indicator audits for us. One of the things they were looking at is post-secondary transitions. It's actually indicator 13. And what they do is they come in to students or the big file cabinets, they rip out kind of student and special education files, and they read what's there, and they're looking for 7 very specific things like, hey, is the team looking to have a measurable goal for post-secondary education? Is the team developing a transition plan that? And we're at 100% compliance now with those random audits. So it's a good thing to be proud of that we're doing the things in those team meetings that we need to for kids, not only that we're legally required to do, but that we should be doing in terms of getting them transitioning to something after school, which is the whole point of why I think K-12 exists. 2 things on the financial side that I think are positive news. We have the New Hampshire retirement rates going into the next 2 fiscal years. So if you remember, they set these rates for 2 years. So we've got fiscal 28 and fiscal 29. Both the staff rate and the teacher rate have remarkably decreased. If those decreases were a part of this fiscal year, the district would be looking at a savings of about $380,000. So it's a substantial amount of money. Also on the money front, some good news on the IDEA allocation or projected allocation for next year. It's a small increase, about $20,000, but we're happy that it's not a decrease and that we're maintaining some level funding, and that's the projection for the IDEA grant moving into next year as well. That's good news. June 18th, we have a school board meeting here, but we're also going to have a meeting to discuss school board goals after that. I just want to remind folks of that. It'll be 2 parts, a public meeting and then a non-meeting with the attorney to discuss those pieces afterwards. I think we've got a lot of good attendance for that meeting that people had committed to, so to remind you of that. And lastly, Jack and I were at the Board of Selectmen at Atkinson on Monday. One of the things that that came up in that conversation that I wanted to bring here, Jack, was this idea of where is the district going to land this year in terms of its projection, and what can people expect in terms of some tax relief based on an unassigned fund balance. And I thought it was a good opportunity to be really clear here. We've talked all year about trying to thread the needle and land the plane. So for folks to expect a large or substantial unassigned fund balance this year and to be projecting that that's going to be a tax relief for them at the next session, we have not been talking that language all year. We don't expect that to happen. I have no vision of that happening. So I'm letting the board know again. So as you guys are engaging folks in the community, that idea really needs to be emphasized, because I don't want it to be like, where's the relief? What did the district do? The district operated and aligned to the voted budget and spent the voted budget. And if you remember, it's about a $10 million differential between both fiscal years. So I do not want there to be any misinformation or wrong information in terms of what the expectation is. If we had discussed a large unassigned fund balance, we probably would have been talking about it in February, as we did 2 years ago. So I want to be really clear about that fact.
You were that night.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any questions for Justin on his report?
No, but I think that dovetails with the kind of the audit piece that you're talking about presenting on the 18th. So, these things are related,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think it was greatly appreciated by the board, the line of communication and the candor and the outreach that we want to expand on. I know that was well received, so thank you.
I heard great things from the board, good ideas from the Atkinson board and good ideas from the board at Danville and Sandown as well about other things we can do together about that stuff. So we got our list and we're going to start seeking some more partnerships.
Good, great. All right, moving on to personnel reports. Shauna. You want to take all of them?
Could I do the
Yes.
third one?
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Do you want to just do that first?
Sure.
I was waiting for you.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. On the nomination list, you will see a nomination for principal of Danville Elementary School, and see that recommended strongly as Tiffany Eaton. To recap, I'd written to the board before about the process, but to remind you, we had about a 3-week window where applications were open. Sandy and Ginger led a school-based interview team over the course of a week. They identified 3 candidates that we moved to a public forum. We held that forum at Danville. Students, parents, staff were invited there. All 3 candidates had an independent opportunity to engage with that audience in a kind of free-flowing conversation. Then everyone that attended had an opportunity to provide some electronic feedback, some numerical scales, and then some narrative feedback. From that, I led an interview team with those 3 finalists here last Friday. We walked them through some scenarios that we felt were important to establish who was going to be our candidate. We had some deliberations on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm here to proudly present Tiffany as the nominee. She's been with the Timberland District for 4 years. She served as the assistant principal there, and she's currently serving as the acting principal since February.
Very good.
And with that, I will make the professional nominations of the following folks. Joshua Latondra, middle music teacher, Sandown North. Julie Sullivan, music teacher, Atkinson Academy. Tiffany Eaton, principal, Danville Elementary. And Daniel Sherman, music teacher at Timberlane High School.
A motion by Shauna. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And abstain? All right.
And I make a motion to accept the professional resignation of Philip Balanoff, PE and health teacher at Timberlane Middle School, and thank him for his time in the district.
A motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. And then we don't have any other nominations or anything, do we? No. All right. Moving on to committee reports to the school board. Jack?
I'm gonna let you do the facilities. And I'll just say that I sat in on the curriculum committee.
Good.
I wanna thank both of you are smiling. A little bit out of my element, but it was cool and everyone was very helpful, coming up to speed and understanding what actually goes into making the sausage, as Mr. Sherwood would put it. So no, that was quite enlightening and I enjoyed my moment there. So I'll let Mr. Sherwood talk about facilities.
Don?
I think we're gonna have some interesting conversations related to questions we've asked at the board level for the policy committee to consider regarding conduct of meetings, how we deal with when we want to combine perhaps a first and a second read and just process pieces and some work we're doing. We'll show you, I think, what we're wrestling with. There's kind of dueling or impacts. You have to change language of maybe another policy to make sure we're not being consistent in the process. So it's gonna take a little time, but I think the first read will be coming to you pretty soon.
Just for me, no committee reports other than just, I like what Justin mentioned at our next meeting, we'll be talking about our board goals. Be looking for an email from me. It'll have our current goals and then maybe even one of our previous ones just to kind of look at. That way people have a chance to look at those and have some ideas when you come. If you aren't able to come, please email me or Mark. That way we can bring that to the table with everybody. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so facilities, once again, we're talking about the envelope of the building. It's not as cookie cutter as anybody would like. There are a lot of questions that have yet to be answered. Primarily, as you may remember, there was a segment of the exterior that was taken off and there was some water intrusion and there was some mold on the exterior. That led us, instead of removing everything, taking the 2 other sample areas to see whether that was just a high risk area that proved to have some water egress, whether that was representative or not. 2 other sections were taken down. They were both bone dry. So that's good. That presents the possibility of not having to take everything down. However, we do have some, the chipboard that is there, it had a product that is no longer manufactured and supported by the manufacturer. So then the question is, once we're going to put on different vapor barriers, water barriers, will that be effective, and who will certify and or warranty that? So obviously, the cost implications of doing everything or just portions are drastically different. We're trying to do our due diligence and make certain we do take care of the property without creating a larger job than is required. So where it is left right now is we will be having a representative from Henry, which makes the blueskin product that we're going to be utilizing, come in and actually take a look at it and make certain that they are comfortable with the viability for what we're hoping is the majority of the exterior to treat that. So that's one thing that we are researching. Additionally, we are looking at pricing for what happens if they will not certify it and we have to take it all out, or another cost estimate if 20%, if 30% needs to be removed. What are the cost implications of that? Yeah.
So I was gonna bring this up under new business, but I just think it tags onto it. It's gonna be about a minute for me to read this and.
Before
so
you
let
go
me-
there, let Mark finish the facilities. and
Oh,
then you
okay,
can-
okay. Well, I think that's all we talked about.
So one
Yeah,
other thing,
absolutely.
one other thing that was discussed at facilities is the windows. There are approximately 64 windows that are involved that were installed in the year 2000. So in addressing the exterior of the building, we need to at least ask the question and address it one way or the other. Do we replace the windows at the same time? The windows are flange windows, which will make it more complicated once we put on a new exterior, should they need to be replaced. I'm interested in feedback from this group. My personal feeling at this stage is, if they're not failing, I don't want to double down on this project, but again, I don't have enough information and would be, we're looking for more information, interested in feedback.
Are you referencing 2020 windows? Are those that have been
No,
replaced?
2000. Did I say 2020? 2000. They were installed in the year 2000.
Okay.
And there are 64
Maybe
of
then I
them.
picked that up. I don't know. We'll have to go back and look at it.
It's a good catch.
I was just
Sean.
saying 2020. I said if for 4 years if we're looking at
Oh, no.
that's a different issue.
If I said that, that was my fault.
So I've had a extremely long day, and it got more difficult as the day went on. But after that meeting, I went out and I reached out to Georgia Pacific, which we talked about the meeting. I was going to talk to the rep at GP, and we had a confidential conversation. They won't make any recommendations, and just because the standards have changed doesn't mean it's still not a viable material. But what was consistent, I reached out to him, I reached out to a number of different resources, and everyone had one suggestion, and I'm gonna read this off here, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It limits my downside, or it limits our downside. I'm recommending that the school board explores an independent building envelope engineer consultant to evaluate the conditions of the existing exterior gypsum sheathing at the high school prior to making a financial decision regarding repair, remediation, or replacement. Now, as I looked at all those samples and I sent those pictures out to all those folks, we have about 16 square feet in a corner that was extremely compromised, 2 feet wide. Right after you get out of that corner, the material is good again. It really comes down to the guy from Henry, because that's what everything is going to attach to, saying whether this gypsum is good or not. So the recommendation is based on significant financial implications associated with these decisions and the fact that much of the existing wall assembly remains concealed from view. A little bit of background. As part of the planning of the exterior renovation project, the district intends to install a new roofing system in the AL13 cladding system. What that basically means is we're wrapping up anything that's going to be behind there. So there's going to be no more water infiltration, it's kind of coming through the roof, and we're eliminating that. During the project discussions, questions arose regarding the conditions of the existing paper-faced gypsum sheathing located behind the current exterior siding. To date, several exploratory openings have been performed.
While concerns have raised regarding the potential deterioration of the gypsum sheathing, observation from most of the open areas inspected have generally been more favorable than originally anticipated. Here are some of the observations. The existing metal studs appear to be generally in good condition. The siding is gonna be tied into those studs, and that's what matters, not necessarily the gypsum, so that's good news. Any corrosion observed appears largely superficial in nature and was only on one stud. Existing gypsum fasteners remain secure. The gypsum sheathing appears resilient and intact and in many exposed locations. Areas of mold appear to be localized and largely superficial. The existing sheathing has remained protected behind an exterior siding for much of its service life. At this time, it is important to acknowledge that the superficial portion of the wall, or the substantial portion of the wall assembly, remains concealed, making it difficult to accurately determine the overall condition of the sheathing without additional investigation. Why an independent review is appropriate? The architect, administration, project management teams, and contractors each play an important role in the successful completion of this project. Each approach the project from a different professional perspective, including design responsibility, project administration, scheduling, budgeting, and risk assessment. The school board's responsibility is much different. The board is responsible to ensure that the decisions involve significant public expenditures are supported by objective evidence, sound engineering, judgment, and prudent stewardship of the tax resources. For that reason, I believe the board would benefit from receiving an independent technical assessment from a qualified building envelope professional whose sole responsibility is to evaluate the existing conditions and provide an unbiased recommendations. So here's the scope of what we'd be asking them to do. Review all investigative work completed to date. So in other words, they're gonna take the work that we already did and use that. Review photographs, reports, observations, gathering during the exploratory openings, independently verified prior findings, conduct additional representative testing deemed necessary, evaluate conditions of existing gypsum sheathing and support wall components. Assess the moisture-related concerns for long-term performance considerations, evaluate the sustainability of an existing sheathing to remain in place as part of the proposed wall assembly, and provide in writing the findings and recommendations to support the documentation. Importantly, the consultant should be encouraged to utilize existing project information wherever appropriate, while independently validating the accuracy and significance of those findings. I can go on, but I think you guys get the gist of this, right? So here's what I'll tell you. The GP guy said it, the architect that we're dealing with said it. I'm gonna use his name, he's Mr. Goby from Atkinson. He just won a big coveted award in Boston for being the #1 facilities guy, managing and maintaining all the skyscrapers for a big international firm. They all said the same thing, get yourself the engineer now. What I would recommend, because they're like any other restoration project, there are a whole bunch of differences of opinion of where the status of this is. I like Mark and I get 4 recommendations, 1 from the GP guy, 3 from Mr. Goby. Look into what each one of these firms potentially can do and the cost. I don't know what the cost is. I'm hoping it's gonna be south of $10,000, but just remember, I will spend 5, or at least this is this board's recommendation, board members' recommendation. I'll spend 5 to save 100,000. And if you look at the 13,000 square feet, I mean, originally, 3 weeks ago, when we opened up that first opening, we were ready to tear down masonry, take down all the gypsum, and then the decision was made to open up a few more openings, and we found a substantially different condition in those other areas. And I suspect out of the 13,000 square feet, I think we'll have less than 10% of that condition. And we talked about at the facilities meeting, the best way to bid that out, everything else stays consistent. is per square foot. So in other words, 13,000 to 10,000 square feet, it's this price per square foot. At 5,000 to, if the guy's gonna come down and put on 2 new boards, it's gonna cost more per square foot than if he's doing 13,000. But everyone said that this is what we should do. People I respect, a guy I didn't know from a hole in the wall from Georgia Pacific said it. And I think we need just an independent, unbiased guy sitting back that has no skin in the game. That's my personal opinion.
So just to, because that was a lot.
It was.
So it sounds like, it was good information, thank you. So it sounds like the current gypsum board has been determined to be that it is rated for exterior.
Yes.
Then the next wrench in the chain is that it is so old that the company that made it is not even making it anymore. Is that correct?
Well, what they did
No.
was they.
Correct? Is the current
No, they
gypsum?
make, what they do now is they make it with fiberglass.
Okay.
So that particular, but it's like any other
Okay.
upgrade of a product. It's.
So as the facilities committee, did you all reach out to that original maker of the gypsum board that's currently
Yeah, I
there?
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though they don't make it anymore, would they certify and warranty it?
So what it comes down to, and I'll tell you exactly what the conversation was. The conversation was they don't do that, and you do have a guarantee with the original building, which I believe we can't find, okay? I can tell you that the only time it's been recommended to be taken down was a building in Jacksonville, Florida last year that got hit by a hurricane. So it's not the first time that they have gotten a call like this on this specific product, but I can tell you the when we opened up those other walls, they looked brand new.
So I understand that, but was the conversation ever had with the
Yes.
that whether or not they would certify or warranty the current gypsum board that's there?
Yes, and they won't not because there are any aspersions against the product, they've just moved to a different technology. And so a company that stops, producing product A and now they're doing product A2, will not certify beyond the original certification. They just won't do it. So they were pretty much saying, we have not had the need to be replacing this, but we can, because we're no longer supporting this particular product, no aspersions against it, none have been made, but we will not certify. And that's where part of the problem was we have several stakeholders, from the engineer, project managers, architects, and the manufacturers of the project. They're all looking at this from slightly different perspectives, and their involvement may be motivated a little bit different from one another.
Here's the other.
Hold on. So I've got one more question, then I'm gonna let Sean, because I know he had some questions. Have we figured out how old the gypsum board is?
Yeah, it's as old as the building,
How old's the building?
35 years old.
So the
But
gypsum board.
here's.
Matt, I just
No,
wanted.
no.
I just wanted to know, hey, I just wanted to know how old the building was, how old the gypsum board been, and then I'm gonna let
So
Sean.
why can't I just add one caveat to that? We
What's the
are
caveat?
going to put a skim coat, it's called blue face, over the face of the sheeting that gives it the same resilience and the same water barrier, vapor, whatever. And there's like 5 or 6, Tiemco makes a product, Harvey makes a product. So they're coming down and they have to sign off because they're gonna put it on, and then what we're doing to the face of the building, they have to sign off on it too. So what we're basically doing is we're bringing that gypsum for a very inexpensive cost up to speed with what GP would sell you today, is my understanding of it.
So
And
if I may just clarify,
Yeah.
the gyp board is kind of irrelevant. If it's structurally sound, it's irrelevant because the blue skin that we're putting on it would be that vapor barrier. We need the company blue skin to say, hey, we're comfortable with this, then we'll certify it.
and
Makes sense.
the AL13 screws into the studs, not into the gypsum. So this, from a structural standpoint,
It's irrelevant.
the fastener is going right into the steel studs. Now, all the research that I did said, if those studs were compromised and they weren't holding screws, now you'd have a problem.
Yeah.
But the gypsum is irrelevant other than from the mold factor.
Sean.
What I was gonna bring up is with this building rat consultant that we would probably engage in, is what are we looking to get out of this? Is we're looking to get, what I think we're trying to get is basically an insurance policy. This will work, but they're only going to see what we have, and this is the part that you have until you
take down everything, you're not gonna be able to know that. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna rely on somebody else's opinion that's going to, say, yeah, this is good, but what if they're wrong?
Or he actually signs.
And this is the point that I'm trying to bring on up, is that we're looking to get this consultant in here, and it's basically to build up our confidence level that that this is gonna not implode in our faces down the road, and they're gonna have future
Again, Sean,
compromises.
what I will point out to you is when he signs off on this, he puts his John Hancock on it, very similar to.
But what does that mean, Jack? If
No,
you
no,
have your
he
John
stands
Hancock
behind,
on
he
it-
stands behind. I don't wanna speak for him, cause I'd prefer them to come in, and I'd prefer for Mark and I to do some more investigative work, but what I didn't read was that they go around and they test moisture, I wanna say moisture content, but how much moisture is actually in behind the wall. They do more extensive testing than what we already have done.
Right,
I mean, I can tell you, we
Yes.
spent $100,000 for the masonry study for, and cause we were ready to take down all the block walls. Before we opened up those two other spots, we were faced with taking down all the gypsum, all the masonry. I mean, it got real squirrely for a while.
Hundreds of thousands of
Hundreds and
dollars.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, and just a little bit more investigation made us feel very confident. I'm very confident moving forward. Are there gonna be a few other conditions like we saw in that one little corner of the building? Sure there is. Is that gonna be? Look, I could be dead wrong about this, but I would say 10%, but this guy's gonna come in and say, okay, here's the moisture content in this area, here's the moisture content in that area. There aren't too many conditions that had that mold and that water degradation. I actually took a ton of pictures. The water's pouring down the roof, gets caught in behind the flashing, runs through the roof line and in behind the wall. All the brick turned white. I mean, it was like a huge funnel, funneling the water right into that corner. And you go 2-3 feet away, Mark, right?
Yeah.
It was perfectly fine. So it was the perfect storm in that first particular area where they opened up. I was nervous, and then I saw what the rest of the walls, and honestly, when they opened up the rest of the walls, I'm like, wow, that's really good. The one thing we are gonna have to do is there's tar paper in the front of that fascia. The guy from GB said, you're gonna have to take that all down, but we're gonna take it down anyways, because we're gonna put that blue skin on the face of the gypsum, which is an inconsequential cost.
To Jack, not to interrupt you, but to Sean's point though, it sounds like facilities committee has a plan to put this stuff on the gypsum board. So what are you hoping to get out of this consultant then?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so that is our hope, assuming that the Henry Company who manufactures it says that this is appropriate and we will stand behind this.
So
We're
it's-
looking for two pieces of just different information. One, that the manufacturer of the blue skin is comfortable putting it on and will certify it that way. At this meeting, there was some diversity of opinion and suggestions as to how extensive the renovation work needed to go. That is the gist of it. I'm trying to be delicate in the way I'm presenting this.
So, but it sounds like that before you all go down the committee needs to go down the rabbit hole of a consultant, you need to get your answer on whether or not that sealant that you want to put on would be satisfactory or not. Because if it is, then you're fine.
Well, with the other thing I would point out is, as we were doing all this exploratory stuff, the mere fact that we found out we had conditions back there that whether we decided to end this project today or not need to be rectified, right? So we do have areas in behind the wall that are gonna have to be fixed. Now, I can take you out there and show you how that entire fascia board is all failing. You can see holes, you can see leaks, you can see, I mean, if you go out by the cafeteria at 11 o'clock in the morning and see the indirect lighting, how it hits it, you'll see all
So
the material that's been compromised.
So when are you all expected to find out? When
Well,
that person will come in and say, hey, yes, we'll certify this on the gypsum board? When will you all know that information?
I think Tom has reached out, trying to schedule if memory serves.
That was in process, that was the action item out of the
Yes.
facilities committee.
the other thing too.
But real quick, because it's on this, so if you all get that and they say, yep, we're gonna certify it, then you just put
But
that
you
on
also
and then
need the architect to sign off on it, you need the project manager to sign off it, and this is one more layer of expertise. And look, if it's gonna cost us $100,000 for this guy, I'm not gonna support that. But if we can go into this with a little bit more confidence and to get everybody on the same page, because we all have, and we can get into this, everyone's kind of got a different interest and a different perspective. So all I care about is a good project. We know we have a mold in there in some areas. That's gonna have to be dealt with either way, and we know we have failing walls. So,
Shauna, then Dawn.
I'm just wondering for effectiveness right now, because I know this is a committee report and this is super valuable information. But everything that you just read to me, I would love to actually like be able to read and digest myself.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you. I was gonna ask for you to do that. But also I think what I'm wondering is it more meaningful for our board to table this conversation? There's an action item that's coming out of facilities to, if my understanding is, right, to have somebody come out and look at that piece of it. And then once you gather that information as a committee, potentially be an agenda item to come present the whole situation. And I don't know what the timeline is in terms of the scope of work and if there's exposed walls open and it's a safety thing. But I am not opposed to having a third neutral party come in and look at all the circumstances top to bottom and give an opinion. But in this culture and climate, in terms of, economics, if it is gonna cost $100,000. So I'm just wondering if it makes more sense for us to table this conversation and actually have a really good conversation with all of the information so we can make an informed decision.
The purpose of me making this recommendation was twofold. One, it's from the architect to the Georgia Pacific person to the guy who's the renowned guy down in Boston, all said the same exact thing. They all had recommendations. That's number one. Number two, this is to make sure that we don't, I sent some other stuff that I had picked up to Mark because we share the stuff with facilities. It's about not jumping the gun and spending, which we were just about prepared to do.
Mhm.
We need to take down this, we need to take down that. With the windows, for me, that project isn't gonna happen till next year. So we have time for that. We can put it in the budget, we can put it in a warrant, or we can say, no, we don't wanna do it. I'm indifferent to that.
I can appreciate all that. I actually do understand all of that. My question still to this board is it worth us waiting and putting an agenda item on the June 18th where we can actually spend some more time with this and actually have some shared material sent to us via email and gather more information from the facilities committee? That's what I'm asking.
How about if we do this, and then I'll let Mark, how about
Well,
if we do
actually,
this,
Dawn's
how about
been
if we
waiting and
just
then it'll be
find
Mark.
out all that information, what these guys can provide us, reach out to these 4 recommended things, because the consult is free. And find out what they can bring to the table and for what price.
So why don't, I'll let Dawn and Mark, but to Shauna's point, why don't you get that information, send it to the board so we can put it a part of the board packet so the board can see the opinions of these individuals. And if they have any facts, data, or whatever, they can provide with it. And then that way we can actually have a good discussion and everybody can see everything. But then Dawn and then Mark.
My question is really going back a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
We talked about the moisture problem coming from above, kind of the way things funneled into areas that became problematic below. Sounds like, the gypsum board wasn't the issue as much as, the source of the water and how that was not able to be, released or get out, or, the circulation there was not good. It got moldy, got bad. How confident are we that that's not gonna continue to happen in different areas? Because it's all the same vintage construction.
I can answer that. So during a prior facilities, having found that one area that was taken out, there was a recommendation to, okay, this means it's in here, we need to take everything out. That would have added hundreds of thousands of dollars, this is my estimate, into the product. The project all of a sudden exploded. I was uncomfortable with that. Jack was uncomfortable. There was a lot of discussion and give and take, and it was not streamlined discussion. Where us as a facility, as a committee, we requested 2 other areas be investigated that were not, that were average, do it 10 foot down, do it 20 foot down, rather than in one corner where we knew that there were water problems because they were visible from the outside. Those 2 other areas deemed to be more representative were bone dry. Had we not done that, the project would have, the cost would have gone up exponentially. During the last facilities meeting, there were some differing opinions as to how to address it. And how extensive it should be amongst some of the players that are here that we are using as resources to help guide us. Jack's suggestion for to have an expert come in and look at it objectively is just that, it's objective. The manufacturer has a particular viewpoint, the project manager does, the architect does, and they were not all agreeing. Some of their perspectives were perhaps more in line with their professions. So having an outside view to help limit any potential project creep is something that I am interested in. Otherwise, had we gone with some of the early recommendations, this project cost would have perhaps doubled, easily doubled. Because we had requested and insisted on additional information, we're trying to shrink the scope so that this doesn't become the big dig in Boston.
I understand this. I'm not saying we should hire somebody. I'm saying
Let's look at it. Yeah,
I'm saying
let's
Mark
just-
and I should go out, see what each particular organization will bring back to us and what, you know, what the cost is, what the services are. It's not
Research it.
just research the four companies. I'm not
Yes.
saying
Yes.
let's hire one tonight. I'm saying give Mark and I the latitude to go out and explore what they can bring to the table. Cause I can tell you, as much as the $100,000 for the masonry study, I mean, we got a report that was about that thick. It was quite extensive, maybe a little bit excessive, but these guys are polished, and if they can take what we have and do a couple more tests, to your point, Sean, you really don't know until it all comes down. There are ways of mitigating that and making a better educated guess from everything that I read and I researched. There are tests that they can do inside the walls, but I wanna hear what they can do.
Well, it seems that we have this, the person, that's gonna be looking at this. We already know that, it's in this corner is compromised, so we're gonna have to replace all that part of it. That I don't think nobody
16
will
square
argue.
feet.
But it's like, as Mark was saying, 10 feet down, 20 feet down and all that stuff, and the rest of it is all looking good. So I think we could probably say that, yeah, it's probably gonna be that. We fixed that one corner in there. Now, getting a certified person to turn around and tell us the same exact thing for 10, 20 grand, we just spent 10, 20 grand, and what do we get out of that? The same thing that we already thought now, and it isn't like we're getting a guarantee out of anything. Because the thing that people, you start talking about all this stuff and warranties and stuff, listen, you really gotta face the facts of how things work out in life. Because when this stuff fails, everybody's gonna be going, that's their fault. And that's what's gonna happen, and then we're gonna be fighting the manufacturer who said that the contractor put it in wrong, vice versa, and who ends up in the loss? We do.
I've lived the dream, but what I will tell you is my understanding of how these guys operate is they kind of like an architect seal, right? They certify.
Seal with your wallet on the table. That's what I want. And that's what they're not gonna give you. I know that.
Shauna, so can I make a motion for the board to give latitude to Mark and Jack to research some information and present the board with options related to all of this discussion at the next board meeting?
I won't be here, so Mark will be on you.
Mark.
What about incorporating the facilities staff?
Well, yeah,
and
to
having them
allow-
on board
right,
with
and-
the operational pieces of this?
Right.
Yes, facilities to allow
Like, I think it
facilities.
needs to be an
yes.
agenda item next board meeting. That's what I'm
Or the
looking for,
following.
whether that's a formal board, a motion or not.
So when does the next facilities meeting meet then, if the 9th is canceled?
I'm looking.
Got a great website that we can fund.
Right? Canceled, though, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So should this be on the August board meeting then, if Jack's not available and we're not
That
meeting in
sounds good.
July? Does that give you
Yes.
guys enough time?
That's fine.
Great.
We don't know what we don't know, and
Yep.
getting somebody objective, and when you have disparate parties disagreeing on approaches, this would also, so even if the Henry comes in and says, yeah, this blue skin will work on it, not a problem at all. There is a potential that another one of the vested parties will say, Henry says it's fine, but I'm not gonna warranty it. And then we're trying to arm ourselves to limit project creep.
And just so we're clear, something's gotta be done with the facade. And ultimately, this is to put it in perspective, it's kind of grown on itself. It's a medium-sized siding job. That's all this is. So to your point, Sean, it kills me to spend 10 cents. It does. But if I get that reassurance and it satisfies the other concerned parties, then I think it's money well spent, and we have peace of mind, and we have that additional backup or support, whatever it may be. I mean, we spent $100,000 on the masonry. Like, they did the same thing I told them to, for free.
Yeah, and I still really want to be comfortable with the flat roof. It's still a flat roof, and water sits longer on a flat surface than it does on something that's naturally gonna drain off. I wanna make sure that that roof is sufficient to keep everything from coming down
Cool.
through the walls, and on top of that,
Just,
wonderful work that
just so you know, Don, the place where we had the water compromise is the backside where the roof is pitched like the
I
bejeebas.
saw
You see the flashing, it's like a big funnel.
I saw
Come
when
to
they were
daddy.
working on it. I said, that's the newest part of the road.
Alright, so from lots of good discussion. So it sounds like at our August meeting, the facilities committee will have had time to meet, get us answers about the stuff that you wanna put on the gypsum board. It sounds like the facilities committee is gonna look at maybe some other party to possibly come in and be outside
Investigate, see
thing.
which services they have to
Correct.
offer and what the
Um,
cost associated are.
the cost. In the meantime, all those people that you named off that gave an opinion about why we need this, if you could send it to the board so that we can look at that, and if they have any data to back that up, that would be great as well. You referenced a bunch of people that were experts in the
These are-
business and that you have data and stuff, so I think it'd be good for the board to have that so they can see what you're also saying.
I get 3 recommendations.
No, the
Pass
people,
on what you have.
the people who recommended tonight for you to bring it up and said unanimously they recommended getting this third
Oh,
party.
yeah, no,
Yeah, if you'd give that to the board,
Yeah.
that would be great. Okay, sounds good. And we'll talk about this at board prep for making that agenda item.
Sounds great.
Alright,
I have no reports.
I love that. Sean? Okay. Any other business? Okay,
Sorry. I got 2 things. One, I'm kind of passionate about, and even though I have it written down here, I'm gonna make it pretty simple. The 1803 building, it's a national historical, the academy. What I am concerned about is that is our most precious gem, and the people in Atkinson, I mean, it's more than a logo we put on our paper, right? It's the heartbeat of our community. What I wanna make sure is that when we do work in that building, that we're doing everything to restore it back to its original state. In other words, I think we have an obligation to use the right materials. I don't think we should be putting drywall where it should be plaster. I don't think we should be putting carpet where it should be hardwood. And I would rather do nothing at all than not do it right. It's about the preservation of this very important national historical site. I feel very strongly about it. And all I'm saying is, right now, under our current financial conditions, we don't have the way, I'm not recommending that we do anything to the building. But I'm just saying, when we do, it should be done with that in mind, that the preservation of that from a historical standpoint. And over the years, I've seen stopgaps being done there, a few that I think are gonna happen, that I would prefer it to be well thought out. So that's it. And the only other thing that I have is regarding the RFPs.
real quick though, before you move on.
Yeah,
I know that is Atkinson's, it's part of Timberlane District, but does Atkinson, the Historical Society, they do anything to raise money to help preserve that
no,
building?
it's funny you say that, because as I was having this conversation with somebody about, I don't wanna put any money into the academy right now. I said, you know what, maybe we can do some fundraisers, maybe we can do something through the Historical Society. I think if
So you're gonna keep those talks with your town though to see if they'll do that?
Yeah, I mean, I hope I hope they come in here and talk to us. I think that if we did phased projects over time, and I'm not suggesting, I have nothing on the plate to be done there today or tomorrow.
No.
but the building is gorgeous, the rooms are beautiful upstairs. And you talk to people that went to school there 40, 50, 60 years ago, you know, it's in a state of disrepair internally. Now, we just did a ton of work, which I, as an Atkinsonian, am extremely grateful for, $1.2 million. But it is in disrepair, and I know we have to have a contract in place, but I would think, again, that is a perfect opportunity for an LCHIP grant. But we had gotta do something. I mean, there's gotta be a contract in place before we could apply for that again. I know the little building they're doing across the street, they got an LCHIP grant for. There's a big banner out there, so, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I don't wanna do a patchwork quilt over there. The building deserves better than that, especially after all we just invested in it.
What was your second thing?
The second thing is regarding the RFP, I kind of went over the RFPs again, and as I see the way they're written, and Justin, maybe you can speak to this, but 40% of the evaluation of who ends up getting it or how it gets recommended is based on price. And then there's 60%, which is basically, I looked at them, I don't wanna open up the computer, but it's almost the same exact thing, so 60% of it is subjective. All I did for 10 years was write RFPs and open up and bring RFPs for openings, and I'd have to sit there and they open the RFPs and I'd have to report back to my company. It was always on price unless there's something just dramatically wrong with the contractor. And that was never written into the RFP. It's low bidder gets the job. They usually have to give 2 or 3 references. That's it. Here, it's weighted that we have the discretion to circumvent the pricing, and I don't, something doesn't feel right about
No,
that to me.
actually, that's a board policy, and it states with bids and stuff like that and RFPs, and it states that because sometimes the lowest bidder could be a detriment, and it gives the board and the department's discretion because it might be the second lowest that's actually better. So that's actually in policy.
No, I understand that, Katie, but what I'm saying is the way it's weighted, it's 60% discretionary and 40% based on price. The rest of the planet Earth does it the other way. It's 95% price. And if you can show that that contractor or that vendor can't perform, that's another issue. In Massachusetts, if you're low bidder and they give it to somebody else, more than likely you're gonna end up in court.
So in bringing this up, what are you hoping the board to do?
I'm hoping that you explore, I mean, to me, it seems to me that there should be no discretion in this. The low bidder should get the job unless there's overwhelming, I don't wanna say evidence, an overwhelming argument to be made why they shouldn't. Either they can't perform the task or there's somebody out there that can get to the job faster. But there's gotta be a purpose or a reason, not just, hey, we feel like this other guy is better.
Do you want Shauna?
If memory serves me, the last time we had a conversation about RFPs, I suggested or requested or inquired about looking at the RFP process top to bottom because the policy, the way that it's written is ambiguous in some certain circumstances. Justin was looking for guidance. You're looking deeply into all of these aspects of the RFP process, and I still am going to make the suggestion that we start right back at the beginning and potentially look at our policy and our language. So is that potentially something that we could put on the policy committee to add to an agenda to look at that?
Sure.
With input from the administrative team in terms of how they're interpreting it, board language communication, and then the next step would obviously be the procedure and the actual RFP process itself.
So I have a question, was that ranking, was that part of the policy? Or was that part of the process? Cause we did have that discussion, I remember, what was process and what was policy, do you remember that?
So the part where you're talking about the individuals not having to go with the lowest bidder, right? Like that's part of policy. And then the stuff that you're talking about, like how it's written, that's procedure. So policy and procedure are very much tied together. So to Shauna's point, Policy should be pulled and then the procedure should look with it.
I would respectfully disagree, and I mean respectfully disagree that policy is the policy that we write. It's to go out to bid in these it's to be advertised in these 3 or 4 places.
But what you're saying about the lowest bidder, that is in the policy.
They have a, no, they have a graph, for lack of a better term. If you look at the painting contract, it's, this is how we will grade, or this is how we'll come to this determination.
That's procedure.
Could I read
That's right.
Could I read
So
a
we're-
sentence
so
of
we're-
the policy?
So
Yes.
we're agreeing with each other. So we agree.
So I'm gonna let Justin speak.
School board, with input from the superintendent, reserves the right to reject any or all bids and to accept the bid which appears in the best interest of the district.
It's an escape clause that you always want,
Why would you want that, Sean?
for the obvious reasons
But I think we need to talk about those
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it, but you for example, just because, say you got somebody that's rebidding on this stuff and you got an existing contractor in here and he happens to be the lowest bidder, but you have issues with him, and another person bids and say they're just, I agree, as the dollar amount spread gets higher, then how much anguish will you suffer for that dollar amount? But it should not preclude the board to just have to pick this person because they're the lowest bidder.
Yes.
And it's also too his competence level. We've had people that in the town that've come in and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna bid on paving contracts, and we know that they couldn't do this. They were getting in the quote the tar cheaper than the state contract, which just isn't going to happen. So
All I'm saying is if there's a compelling reason why the low bidder shouldn't be picked, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But when I saw that graph on how each particular thing is weighted, 2 or 3 of them were virtually, at least in my opinion, kind of the same. And then pricing was 40% of the determination. Every place else I've ever dealt with, and I've dealt with a lot, it's more like 75, 85%. Now, if a guy can't perform, to your point, we understand that, we know that, and that's okay. We don't believe he can perform the task. But
Jack, may I just ask?
why even go through the process if that's what we're
Can I
gonna
just
do?
ask you a question though? Everything that you've dealt with, have you ever dealt with anything in the public sector, or has it always ever been private?
Both. Actually, most of my work was federal, state, and municipalities. GSA project, town of North Andover, city of Lawrence, town of Methuen.
The only reason why I ask is because sometimes what happens in the private sector, how RFPs are wrote, it's very different. It's very different rules and regulations when it's a public, like a school
I
system.
did
But
a
Jack,
big
go ahead.
project in
I mean, Mark,
Lawrence.
sorry, oh my God.
I get where you're coming from. I understand it, and I mostly agree, but I think we need the flexibility. I remember a couple years ago, we were putting out some RFPs for some equipment for field maintenance, and there were 2 different manufacturers. One came in a little bit lower than the other. Their reputation was such that we heard about it. The other company that was marginally higher had a much better reputation. We had dealt with them in the past. They had shown themselves to be flexible with some last minute maintenance and lending us equipment that then they fixed our original. For that reason, I mean, is that compelling? Yes, no. What's compelling? $1,000 difference, a $10,000 difference? I think that's why we need the flexibility built into the language.
It's not the amount.
I'm comfortable.
It's not the amount. It's what qualifies someone to be able to do it and what doesn't. And then we go through this exercise. It costs us to administer this exercise. And then we kind of throw it all out the window because we kind of think this guy here is a little bit better. If he's a little bit better, but this guy's $30,000 less, I think we have an obligation to the residents to consider that. And I just, when I first looked at that grading system and by percentage, I thought it was skewed, not to what I have typically experienced over the course of 40 years.
So I think to make sure that the district is writing and doing the RFPs in the legal way, and honestly to be fiscally responsible and to do what's best for the district, maybe what we should do is pull the procedure for the RFPs, make sure that they are being followed in concordance with the laws, and bring it back to the board and just make sure that it's being done right.
Look, I was bringing it to everyone's head
No,
because
it's a good,
frankly,
and it's good.
I
That's the
didn't know it
action.
until I opened up and looked at an RFP and I was like,
Yep, so I just think so, I mean,
bring it up to the
education's
board
better,
for
yeah,
discussion.
absolutely, okay.
And I was just gonna follow on what
Yeah, go
Mark was actually saying is about, it's like, you know, if it's $1,000 difference or a $5,000 difference, how much are you gonna do that? I always look at the limit, my limits test, that camera right there and all the voters out there. If you can articulate why I'm turning it on and I'm selecting this one, you gotta live with that decision. And of course, you know, we all live with our decisions. And now the public knows exactly why I voted for that. That's what I use personally
Yeah.
in my decision making.
And me personally, anytime that we've ever had a RFP brought before us that someone wasn't going for the lowest bidder, the executive summary has always been really detailed as to why. I know we have some outliers every once in a while, but for the most part, the district, I feel like, has done a really good job. Like Ken's an example, like every time that we go for something, he's always really good and articulate about why he is not going with the lowest bidder. It's this company, it's because he's worked for it this long. This is what it would cost if you did actually go with the lowest bidder. So, but yes, I totally agree with you, 100%.
You gotta understand the full picture.
Exactly, 100%. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was all good discussion. Is there anything else that needs for
I just want to offer a suggestion of
Yeah, go ahead.
the time frame that we have here at the end of the year is, Justin, this is gonna be for you, is because it's just a recommendation that I would have is the end of the year. I like to, in my personal life at work, I like to do what I call postmortems on things, on projects. And I think it would be a good idea for you and just trickle it through the system to have different organizations underneath you to get together and talk about this past year at some point. What went well, what didn't go well. And one of the caveats I always put on it, on, you know, my teams is you got to check your ego at the door, because you want to have a frank discussions about things. And it just, you know, it's a self-reflection on you. You're going to get criticized in the whole organization. And, you know, there's a lot of different things in my world than in here, but the same principles would apply. And you can get some really good feedback. And we got talking earlier with Ken here, with the feedback on the website. Unless you don't know about a problem, it's hard to fix it. So the feedback loop is very important. And if you don't have that feedback loop, and do it in a constructive way, and just, you know, say, hey, you know, what went well? You can have one-on-one talks with any, but you get the premise of what I'm trying to bring to the table. Use this opportunity at the end of the year to do a full year reflection on there. That's it. Appreciate that, John.
all right, any other business? All right. Anybody for delegates individuals? Thank you. We do have to go into a non-public real quick. Shauna,
Motion to go into non-public under 91-A:3 subparagraph C.
do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Could I please get a roll call vote?
Beth Sapia.
Yes.
John Woodward. Ada Newsom.
Yes.
Art Sherwood.
Yep.
Shawna Manthon.
Yes.
And Shawna Lee.
All right, we will only be back to seal the minutes. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye, Cam.
Congrats, Cam.
For sure. Yeah.
Congratulations,
Thanks,
Cam.
guys.